data check-in. So how we use this in the Park Hill School District is really, it is our dedicated time 3 times per year with each building leader to talk academic data only. There is an infinite amount of data that we're able to provide our schools, but this is the only time it is purely dedicated to academic information. It is all based upon, and really the cornerstone of these conversations is NWEA growth data. And so as we use this map growth data, we can then see that one, our buildings are looking at and using the information. 2, what is their plan? We call it our theory of action. And what is the building's theory of action to use the information that they get from NWEA to change or drive instruction or programs within their building. They're really honing in and focusing on specific instructional areas based upon the student profile or the class profile, drilling down into those student level data. From there, that allows us as a district to support what's happening in each of our buildings. Not just an elementary grade span support, but all the way down to the building level. We know that each building is different and has different needs. And by having these purely academic conversations based upon academic data, we can provide whatever supports, resources that we need to individualize the supports at each building in our district, K-12. The shift in mindset of just having students achieve at a, for example, 41st percentile or above to we just want our kids to grow has taken years. And in those conversations with our building leaders, that's where it started. And we had those conversations. We continuously talk about it. Our academic services team, who's in charge of all academics in our district, the language that we're using, the discussions that we're having are all based around what are we doing, how are we changing so that each one of our students is growing. That has now gotten all the way down to our teacher level. That is their focus. It is not, I need every kid at this achievement level. It is, what am I doing to help student A grow based upon the needs that they have, so on and so forth for each student. And so it's built this culture of my job as a teacher is to help students grow. The building leader, it is their job to be the instructional leader to help teachers and students grow. And as a district, that's our same goal. To describe a great data culture in a building, I think it has to start with the building leader themselves or leaders themselves. And they have to buy into providing the time and the resources to truly look at the information that can change the instruction. And by that, they have to be intentional in terms of scheduling opportunities for teachers to get into the information. And when we speak about data, we're not talking just numbers, right? And there's anecdotal data, there is qualitative information that they provide through conversations with students and conferencing. But having that opportunity to do so is something that is so hard to find as an educator, that a building leader has to provide that space and time to do so. Not only do they need to do that, they need to show the importance of using this information. They have to have the examples. They need to show that in a tier 3 intervention with a student, look at the success we have had as a building. This student has gone from this level of understanding to this level of understanding, and show them that the practice works. And so a lot of our buildings are continuing to hone their processes. And a couple that I'm thinking of right now, and one specifically has an amazing data culture, and that's their building leaders bought in. They've developed a process and a protocol that every teacher, regardless of elementary grade level, regardless of if they are a SPED resource, an ELD teacher, everybody is using the same process. There's no question as to what's going to happen when you have these specific times in which you're talking about student success. And the building has bought in. It's not an overbearing process. It is something that is very easy to identify. Who are the kids who are struggling? Who are the kids who are being successful? How am I going to provide this intervention? And then I'm going to pick a handful that I'm really going to focus on for a certain time period. And every teacher has bought into this process, but then they take it into their classroom and the teachers are doing intentional goal setting. And so as they have this goal setting, the students are starting to buy in and say, hey, I want to grow by, you name however many, whether it be RIT points or a percentile growth that they want to achieve, or maybe they just want to be successful in the classroom in general. This doesn't just apply to NWEA, this applies to behavior, attendance, and any of the items that can help a student be successful. Using any of those data inputs, they can really drive that success for a student if they're working on building leader, teacher, and student buy-in for that culture. They have to see the actual success from a student. And as they start to see students go through this process, that buy-in continues to grow. And in our buildings who are having the most success, even some of our highest achieving buildings have some of the highest growth in our district. And that's a hard thing to do, but it's because of that buy-in to that data culture, if you will. And we call that the through line. We want that through line for our buildings.